Hello and welcome to episode 2 of After School, the Degrassi podcast. I'm Ray,
I'm Cam.
and we're bringing you the weekly after school podcast where we rewind and deep dive into the seasons of Degrassi episode by episode and give you our raw and unfiltered opinions. Today's episodes that we will be discussing are episode 3, Family Politics, and episode 4, Eye of the Beholder. We're going to start off with Cam giving us a little rundown of episode 3.
So yeah, in this episode you have Ashley and Toby rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Right now you learn that they're step siblings, and Ashley is running for school presidency, and she has no candidates running against her, so it's like a shoe-in for her.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely bound to win, is what she's hoping. You kind of see that there's some tension in this episode with Toby and Ashley,
Right.
being that they're step siblings and their family just got together. Like, so you're seeing them just moving in together and how these two personalities mix in a home.
First, some things that I saw in this episode that I would like to point out. First of all, we saw a chubby Spinner in this episode.
Oh,
which
yes.
is always just
So cute.
He was the cutest. He just
And the
Yes.
little scrawny little
we
Jane.
love chubby Spinner. We also got friend, did you peep Ashley's eyebrows?
No, I did not peep it.
Them eyebrows were non existent. And then Terry's were even worse.
Those were
It
back
was-
in the day.
It was down bad.
Yeah.
Both of them was down horrible with their eyebrows. They needed to fire whoever was arching eyebrows on the set of Degrassi because it was bad.
Snatching people's eyebrows off.
Then I don't know if you peeped, but there was a scene where like I think it was the one after we see Toby and Ashley and them. Toby and Ashley with the bathroom scene.
Mhm.
It was the following scene in school where like where Toby was talking to Manny and them, and Manny said something like, "Oh, like Ashley is pretty,"
Yes, I did make mention of that in my notes.
and I chuckled. I chuckled a little bit because it's a little funny that Manny says Ashley is pretty and then ends up taking her man a few times. I just something about that I chuckled. It made me laugh. It was funny.
You could tell that Manny is no jealousy problems here.
Yeah. She could admit that Ashley was cute, but I'm gonna still take your man. But so as far as Ashley running with the whole student council thing, I kind of think it was low key like unfair that they let her run by herself.
I mean, if nobody wanted it, why?
Make her run anyway. Like, why give people the chance to vote? It's something you have to vote for. If there's nobody else to vote for,
But isn't it their fault? Shouldn't if they didn't want Ashley, shouldn't they have, put somebody else up against her?
I'm not saying that. Like, not that they didn't want Ashley. All I'm saying is, why was there a race? If she was the only one running,
If
they
she was the
could have
only
just been like
candidate.
Ashley is school president and called it a day.
Yeah.
So I feel like I could understand like a little bit of what Toby was saying and where he was talking to JT about how like she not really doing nothing.
But you could tell that Toby's intentions when it was to get JT to run for presidency was not genuine. He just wanted to get under Ashley's skin. It was a whole sibling rivalry. He thinks that Ashley gets more than him. You could tell that both are jealous of each other in some kind of way.
For what? I have no idea.
I have no idea.
They're both equally annoying.
Yeah.
So like y'all are. I would be shocked if they weren't related.
Exactly.
Siblings in some way because they're both they seem like they belong in the same household to me. Also in this episode we meet Liberty.
Oh,
My
I
bitch was
love
about
the
her business.
introduction of
Liberty
Liberty.
Van Zandt.
Liberty is also one of those characters that stayed herself from day one.
Yeah, never changed.
Sis knew what she was about
Period.
and wrote it.
Secretary.
She came off the bat with just so much confidence. I loved it.
Yes. I enjoyed it. I like that they also did not switch her up, like you said. I like that she kept the same energy throughout the entire show. She was always her. She didn't care what anybody else thought about her. She was gonna be her, and that was just period. Um, Also, so we have where kind of I think we kind of briefly spoke about how Toby has JT run. I don't know if we said it yet.
Yes, we did have a little
But
bit.
so he has JT run against Ashley as a joke at first. And then I guess as Toby sees that people will really vote for JT, it kind of becomes a little bit more serious to him. So I kind of think at some point it was just about getting back at Ashley. But then I think he actually started to kind of like it low key. Um, so you could tell to me, Ashley seemed kind of shook that people actually like JT.
Yes, because let's think about it. JT had personality.
He did.
He came off the bat with so much personality. Like, everybody was drawn to it, even upperclassmen. So I understand where Ashley's coming from with the whole, oh my gosh, like, now I gotta actually fight for this campaign.
Right.
At first, it was just her. And now I have to legit have competition, and good competition at that, because even though JT was lower classman, he was still pulling in somewhat of a vote.
I think he had higher votes than her, if I'm not mistaken.
At some point in time, he did.
And she was jealous.
Yeah, she went into a dirty politician mode, try to bribe her way into it.
Well, before the bribery part came, we had where we saw Toby and Ashley were having an argument at their home, and Ashley got her mom involved, and I just want to know where Ashley thought like she was going with the argument. Like when she was telling her mom like, oh yeah, Toby has his friend running against me and this, that, and the third, and blah blah blah, and her mom is like, is Toby running? And she's like, no. So Toby can't help his friend run? And she's like, well, I mean, I guess he can, but he's just doing it to bother me. It sounds like you just have competition, is what her mom said.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes, it kind of, what I was talking about earlier, about it being unfair, her being the only one that was running, and them having her, like, do a whole campaign was stupid. Because who are you talking against? Nobody. And then, now that you have a little bit of competition, she was so afraid that she wouldn't win. This bitch gave JT $80 to drop out.
Yes.
She wanted to be school president so bad. $80, friend. JT would have me messed up.
And then also, she didn't want him to just drop out and, like, you know, say, I drop out. She wanted him to kind of, like, do it in a humiliating way. Like,
make a scene.
Yeah, make a scene about it. So I was like, I wonder what was that about. I think it was kind of her dealing with her, like, superiority complex. Like, if he did it in front of everybody, in a way, it makes her look better.
I feel like she should have been confident in the fact that she was going to win.
Yeah.
Now, you could tell that she wasn't confident about it.
At all. She
needed competition, if you ask me.
Yeah, because apparently her campaign wasn't as good as she thought it was.
Period.
If somebody like JT, a lower classman, who people don't even know, was pulling in votes.
Right. So I pretty much think that both Toby and Ashley are dumb. Quite honestly, Ashley for bribing JT and Toby for just being just him. Like, quite honestly, and it's, even though it pains me to say this, Toby was literally evil as hell in this episode for no reason.
Yeah, just unprovoked.
And like, I'm low key, it pains me to say, low key on Ashley's side. He was willing to do like way too much to his sister. And to me, it doesn't matter if it's by marriage or like whatever. That's still your sister at the end of the day. And you wanted to make her miserable so bad that he was willing to go on stage and embarrass her.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to me. I would never, as much as even if I was arguing with my brother, I could be arguing my brother down. I'm never gonna embarrass him in public in front of people.
Yeah.
Which is what he was trying to do. He was literally gonna go out there and tell that she bribed JT.
Tarnish her whole reputation.
For what? Can you tell me what was the reason?
Again, just to get under her skin. And then when she calls him out on it, it's like, oh, I'm doing this because of JT. It's like, no, you're not. If you're going to be mad about it and do this shit to get under her skin,
Right.
just say that.
Right.
Don't sit there and have your friend do it. Also shows the lack of confidence of Toby, because he should have just ran for presidency, but he knew for a fact nobody was going to vote for him.
Yeah, because Toby's not cool.
No.
So.
Not even that. Toby doesn't have personality.
At all.
JT has personality.
A lot. So, I guess you know where we're going with this. Ashley wins.
Yes.
And do we say that she wins fairly? I guess, maybe, sure, whatever. But she wins at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a conversation that occurs with Toby and Ashley after she wins, where it kind of seems like they made up.
Yeah, they did. Because I feel like Toby realized he was the antagonizer in this. This was you.
Right.
Building stuff up. And it looks bad on his part. So he did apologize. And they actually saw
Each
eye
other's
to eye
side. Mm-hmm.
on the whole sibling thing. They both were feeling some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks that they had to go through that whole situation to then talk about it. Like, why couldn't y'all just talk about it from the jump?
Right.
But you start to see that they are more accepting of each other. And hopefully, like, this whole rivalry thing was just one time.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of lets you see that they're going to be okay. Like,
yeah.
Once they get used to living together and being a family type unit, I think that the two of them will be okay. So I guess this had a cute little message in there, you know, love your sibling, right?
Yeah, whether they're related to you or not related to you, as long as they're siblings.
Wow, I'm so glad that we got through that episode. Cause
yes,
I
it was
didn't think we were going to be able to do it. I mean, when I was watching it, buddy, I was stressed. This is where I started to, like, close my eyes just a little bit.
Yeah.
I, like, nodded off a little bit.
Kind of like a filler episode.
I mean, yeah, any episode that's based off Ashley and Toby has just have to be boring. So, I just hopefully there's not many more of these. I don't really recall the rest of the season, but hopefully we stick to just this one episode.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess since that episode is kind of in and it was kind of short, dry to the point, we can move on to episode 4, which is, you know, Eye of the Beholder. This one upset me.
I like the episode for the drama that came with it.
Oh yeah, of course, but yeah. Like, it upset me. It kind of like made me mad. So I guess the beginning scene is the one where we have Terry talking to her dad.
Yes.
And Terry's all looking in the mirror and she's being like self-conscious, saying that she's not going to go to the dance because she's fat and no one wants to dance with a fat girl. First of all, Terry is not fat.
Never was.
Was Terry bigger than the rest of them? Yes, but Terry was not fat. Terry looked damn good.
She did.
So that's just the whole, like, that's the whole kill for me about the whole episode. Because it's just like, wasn't nothing wrong with her.
It was nothing wrong with her. Terry was a beautiful girl, if you ask me. And she was selling herself short. She could have had a good amount of, I was about to say bodies, a good amount of guys.
Not yet, buddy. We in season 1.
She could have had a good amount of guys on her line had she just had the confidence
to back up her looks, honestly. So
then after that whole scene with her dad and she was like, you know, really against going to the dance, then you have her talking with Spinner,
who was feeling her,
who seems so smitten with her that, you know, you could tell.
Yeah.
It's quite obvious.
Yeah.
And he asks if she's going to the dance, and she says no and lies about it and says that her dad is just strict.
Yeah.
So you could tell, like, she just blocking her blessings. She could have really
been going to the dance with Spinner.
Yeah, because he was into her.
Let's talk about how bad Spinner was, like, all up in Terry's face, but then as soon as Paige said hi to him, he was kind of just like, yeah, what's up, Paige? And then kept it pushing.
Yeah, like you see that Spinner is not even all of nowhere near attracted to
At
Paige
all.
as Paige is to him. Like he doesn't even look her way. And it's just like I can't remember rewatching this. I was like, wow, I didn't never remember Spinner and Terry being like a little bit of a thing, but they were for this episode at least.
Yeah, and it was one episode.
Yeah,
And it's crazy.
and I'm just kind of sad that the writers didn't add any more to this because I really think that Spinner and Terry could have been a bomb ass couple.
But you know what? I feel like this episode has a real important lesson because it's almost crazy what like people don't see about themselves. Like Terry clearly felt bad about herself, her weight. She felt
So
bad.
insecure.
Meanwhile, Spinner thought she was cute. And like Paige was big jealous of her throughout the entire episode. And I'm just like, how didn't you see any of this?
She didn't see nothing.
Like, girl, this guy clearly wants you. He's not interested in her. And you got a whole other girl jealous.
So, speaking about that, we're also gonna be talking about Ashley and Terry's relationship. You see their dynamic, and you see that Ashley is very much a protective friend
Yeah.
to Terry, and she, I feel like, had Terry's best interest at heart in this episode, and it just sucks that Paige weaseled her way into this friendship and kind of like, what would you say?
I wouldn't even really say that she was even a part of the friendship. She was just someone who was there. Like they didn't really fuck
But
with
she
her.
tried to weasel her way into this friendship. That's how she was able to get Terry to do things.
Well, yeah. True.
She really pretended to be Terry's friend just so she could, in the end, sabotage her.
Right.
So then you start to see Paige characteristics
Right.
and what makes her bad and what makes her who she is, Paige.
But before we get to into Paige doing what she did, we gotta backtrack and mention that something like really exciting happened in this episode. This is the first episode where we get to see Sean, and I just
Oh my gosh. I do not remember Sean coming off so damn bad. He was a bad boy.
He was great. I loved everything about it.
Oh my god. So can we talk about the Sean and Jimmy situation?
We can't. No. Yeah.
Okay, so we are introduced to Sean. He's like this quiet guy, real like demeanor of don't mess with me.
Period.
I don't want to talk to nobody. I just am here.
It never gave have a conversation with me.
And then you see like Jimmy come up and like want to be buddy, and Sean is not having it. Like to the point, it's very much obvious.
It's embarrassing.
He does not like Jimmy.
Yeah,
like
no, for real.
something about it. Whatever happened in the past with Jimmy and Sean is not.
Well, it's Sean. It's Jimmy constantly bringing up the fact that Sean got left back. Like I think the first time he comes up to him, he's like, "Oh, like yeah, despite what happened, like you could still come sit with us at lunch because we still fuck with you." What, nigga? Didn't nobody ask you if you mess with me? Like Jimmy was asking to be hit the entire episode.
Yeah, you could tell Sean was not a Jimmy fan from the jump.
Period. He wasn't feeling it at all. So I guess from there, and also you get a little bit of, you kind of get the idea that maybe Emma and Sean might, be a thing.
You see that Emma is interested in Sean.
Yeah, you see that, which is like, to me, is just, like, I would have never thought. Seeing Emma from that first episode and then seeing Sean, I would have never thought her eyes would light up like that seeing Sean.
Yeah.
And she was excited. My good sis was ready for anything that Sean had to offer.
Yeah.
She's ready to risk it all.
So, after the meeting with Sean, Ashley then calls Terry out about the whole lie about why she's not going to the dance.
Yes.
She's like, you're not going to the dance, but it's not because your dad's strict.
Right.
Like, come on, girl.
You just don't.
And she offers her a makeover.
She does.
And Terry takes the makeover.
Paige said something in this thing that kind of made me look at her in this conversation that made me look at her a little weird. Her exact quote was, "Terry needs all the support she could get." What the fuck does that mean? Do that mean she thought Terry was ugly?
Paige was just so jealous that she wanted Terry to think
Behind
that,
Spinner.
yeah, she wanted Terry to think that she was less than, pretty much, and that her helping her was Paige being a good Samaritan. Like, you could tell the trickery in Paige's whole demeanor, and you could tell that Ashley saw right through that shit.
Exactly.
And so once you get that whole, okay, yeah, let's do a makeover, and Paige invites herself in, again, trying to
I believe the next scene after that is when we cut to the JT and Toby with the porn thing.
Oh, yes. This is so old school, you guys. Like, oh my gosh. First of all, the way that JT goes about telling Toby they got porn is he shows him a note on, like, he writes down URLs or something, and he passes it to Toby in class.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, these are all the URLs of all the naughty websites that you can go on. And I'm just like, this is so old school. It's ridiculous. Not you had to write down the whole URL to get to some porn. So instead of them going to the dance and, dancing with their peers, they are going home and watching porn together.
Which is just
bromance on a whole new level.
Boys are weird. I wonder if that's what boys really used to do back in the day.
Yeah, bromance beyond.
Can we talk about how, like, they ain't even wait 5 seconds?
My goodness.
Like, as soon as Toby's people left out the house.
As soon as they stepped that foot out the door, they was like,
these men was pressed. They was ready. Okay? Too ready. So I guess the scene after that is when we go to Terry already having her makeover. And we see that Terry looked the fuck good.
And she was having some confidence. She was like, you know what? I do look good. Ashley's makeover really helped Terry's confidence. And then Paige brought it back down.
So I guess what happened was Ashley told Terry, Terry, you really look good. And I wrote down another quote from Paige because it pissed me off. She said, "Wow, you actually do. Bitch, I think they was going one way with Paige's character. And then, they kind of just, somewhere in that, they was just like, you know what, no, let's not do that. Because I don't remember Paige being that fucking... She was really mean in this episode.
Yeah, in this episode, Paige is not liked. In this episode.
And Paige is one of my... I just got done doing a video where I said Paige was one of my favorites. And, I don't recall any of this.
She has her growing up moments. I guess it's important to see that, at some point in time, she was a mean girl, but she also pretty caring. Because at the end of this season, Terry and Paige are actually friends.
Yes, real friends.
Yeah, and it's not a whole jealousy. It's not a whole... oh, I'm trying to, gaslight her. It's real friendship there. But yeah, back to the episode at hand. So Terry's feeling herself. She's ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley had to do something. But Ashley had to leave for something.
Yes.
And so that left Paige and Terry alone.
Mm-hmm.
Paige still being, against Terry because she sees her as a threat against Spinner.
Period.
She convinces Terry to drink. And you get underage drinking, and it's a mess.
She was really wild for getting her drunk.
Yes. And letting her just being okay with it.
And then taking her to school, because Terry could have been suspended, honestly. expelled even for being
Yeah.
drunk on school grounds if somebody had like peeped that.
And they were young.
So it was kind of like it was really wild of her to do. So the scene cuts there, I think, with them starting to drink. And you
Yes.
see that Terry is a little intoxicated, and they decide, okay, so now we're ready to go to the dance. Then it cuts back to JT and Toby, in which we learn that they did all of that to see boobs.
Yeah.
So not even real, like, porn. Boobs.
Just boobs.
So wild. Like, child, boobs. And they was pressed to look at boobs together.
Yeah, teenage boys, you know. What are
Weirdos.
you gonna do? After that, you come back to the dance.
Yeah. Where you see that Paige really went, like, really too far.
Above and beyond.
And I wouldn't have, if I was Terry, I quite frankly would not have spoken to her again after this experience.
We would have never been able to be friends again.
At all. Because it was just wild.
Because Terry put trust in Paige where Paige did not deserve it.
Right. And so, while we're still at the dance, we get, once again, Jimmy coming up to Sean and saying something to him about him not making it to the 8th grade. And Sean is this time literally about to hit Jimmy and his shit. I think he does actually. Am I mistaken?
He jacks him up.
Okay. So he just grabs him up a little bit. And this is where Emma cuts in and it's like, hey, want to dance? Like,
Because she saw Raditch come in. She didn't want
Exactly.
Sean to be in trouble.
exactly.
Saving
And this
her
is where
new love interest.
they just, we get the beginning of this very iconic couple that you don't know is going to be iconic at the time. I feel like when you first saw them, you kind of thought, oh, this could be cute.
Adorable.
That's really cute. If you knew how iconic they turned out to be, it would be.
Yeah.
It's just so cute to see. I just love seeing them at the early stages. Like, I can't wait until we get into some of the later seasons where we could
Oh, yeah, I'm
see
excited.
the beginning of, like, a lot of these.
The relationships and stuff.
Yeah, it's
And
gonna
how
be,
they play out.
It's gonna be really, really good. So I guess we still at the dance, and at this point, I think it's known that Terry is drunk, right?
Yeah, but you know what? Spinner's not too mad about it. So Spinner's just like, you still want to dance. He's pretty much still.
But Spinner knows that she's drunk.
Yeah.
So
Spinner's
why does Spinner act clueless when she's acting all crazy while they're dancing? If he knew that she was drunk,
Because he
ask
didn't.
her, is she okay?
He
and
didn't
stuff.
think she was that drunk. She got drunker. It seemed like she got drunker. Like the alcohol was setting in. But before the alcohol set in, Spinner was asking her to dance, still not giving Paige any type of reaction. And so they're dancing and stuff. And Terry's just doing drunk people behavior all over the place. She starts dancing real crazy. And to the point where, like, she falls down and gets sick. And Paige starts to laugh and stuff like that. And she then says something along the lines of, I told her not to drink that much. When we all know in
He
the
was
scene,
forcing
she
her?
was the reason why Terry drank
In the first
anything.
place. Right.
anything.
Exactly.
Terry didn't even have it in her mind to drink alcohol. So again, you see Paige character flaws.
And you see that Paige actually does end up dancing with Spinner. I didn't like that neither one of them went after her. Only Ashley did. That was kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
After she just literally just threw up, like you could tell, like she's not okay. Neither one of them, Paige or Spinner, thought to go check to see if she was okay. She really could have had like alcohol poison. Anything could have been wrong with her, and nobody went to check on her but Ashley.
Yeah.
Ashley was a really good friend to Terry. I can't even.
In this episode, yes.
Yeah, she was really good because me and Paige would have fought.
Yeah. So after the whole thing, I think that's when the dance ends pretty much.
Yeah.
You see that.
Well, before the dance ends, you get where you see it cuts back to Toby. Oh well, it may have been after the dance ended.
Either way,
it cuts
Toby
back
and
to Toby and
JT get caught watching porn.
which is hilarious.
Yeah. The mom Toby's mom and dad walked in.
Yes.
They saw a clear view of what they were watching.
Yes.
So,
like, and then I feel like you have uh where they telling Emma and Manny about it, and they're like his parents made them sit and watch porn.
both
and, like,
sexes.
Imagine watching porn with your parents.
I thought that was a weird punishment.
I
I
quite
wrote that down
honestly
in
am.
that note in my notes. I don't think my mom would have done anything like that. At best, she'd be like, turn that off before you give my computer a virus.
And if by some chance she did do that, I definitely wouldn't have went to school and told anybody. Like, I just I'd have took that shit to the grave. Honestly, quite frankly.
I would be trying to eliminate that memory.
Quickly. And I want to say the last scene from this episode is you have where you see Paige. Well, no, where you see Terry and Ashley are walking into the school. And at some point they run into Paige and Spinner. And you have Paige who decides to rub that shit into Terry's face that she got Spinner. And this is where, as Terry, I would have smacked her because you tried me.
Yeah. So, like, you can clearly see that Terry is embarrassed from the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And, she just want to keep it low key. And they end up running into Spinner, which makes it, like, 100% worse for her. Given the fact that she really did, I think, have a little crush on Spinner. And Spinner did the same. And for her Paige to then end up having Spinner, and Spinner never, ever just talking about his feelings for Terry ever again. It's just crazy to me how Degrassi just let that slide.
Yeah, Terry definitely deserved better. And this won't be the first or the last time that they disrespect Terry and just, like, completely just write her off. But she really and truly deserved better. She really and truly deserved to discover what it was between her and Spinner. And I feel like it's so unfair that they just allowed that to slip by. It's like usually at the end of Degrassi, you kind of get like if not a happy ending, you kind of get like an ending where it's like
a lesson learned.
Yeah, like, why was it never brought up that Paige was horrible to Terry? Why does Spinner not see that? Like, and why was it never brought back up in later episodes is the question.
Why did Paige not get anything
done to her?
Like, she didn't get no kind of reprimand.
Nothing was said to her. So she was just allowed.
Not from Ashley, not from Terry.
And you know what's crazy to me is, it's the fact that, I guess, you could see, like, in certain points throughout the episode, or even to me, it kind of looked like Paige felt bad. And then she would continue to do shit. So it would be like she felt a little bad when Terry was embarrassing herself when she was drunk, but then she slid in and danced with Spinner anyway. It just kind of made you confused about what her character was supposed to be exactly.
Exactly.
Like, is she the bad guy who, like, wants to be good but doesn't know how? Or, like, is she just bad? Explain it.
Exactly.
Paige definitely deserves to be reprimanded, though. She definitely deserves something at least to be said to her. At least if it was by Terry or Ashley, she deserved for somebody to say something. And it should have been Spinner.
Yeah.
Spinner should have told her she was wild. She was wild. The fact that Paige got Spinner and kept Spinner for quite a long time after that is wild.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't like that as the start of their relationship. And, you know, I always say that Spinner and Paige was a great relationship. Yeah. They really did, like, they did something for each other. But at the same time, that being the start of their relationship, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It kind of put a stain on the relationship for me.
It did.
It kind of made me see Paige really differently because, like I said, I do not remember that being the case.
Yeah, Paige definitely had a rough start for me.
Yes. But I feel like she does grow on you.
She does.
Probably when we get into, like, I feel like maybe because this is the first season, they was kind of trying to test out stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's maybe why, like, you know, the storylines in this season are, like, soft storylines. If that makes sense. It's nothing that's, like, really tells about, like, how to, pretty much you're getting introduced to everybody is how I feel. They just let you know who are the main characters of the show. But I don't know. I'll always say that Terry deserved better.
Yeah, I love Terry.
Me too.
And Degrassi always dropped the ball on her.
They did. There was a lot of times when she could have just been done so much better. She was treated so bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that's how the episode ends.
Yeah, it's kind of like doesn't really end on a happy note. Kind of just leaves it how it was. Leaves it how it, how it started. Really sad.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, I guess with that being said, we're kind of at the end of today's episode on the podcast today.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Also, don't forget to turn your post notifications so that you can be the first to view the podcast. Please also leave comments down below, to let us know some stuff that you maybe would like to get added to the podcast. What we could do better. Just give some feedback down below. It would be highly, highly appreciated. And I guess we'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.